Imagine discovering that something you do almost every week in your own kitchen, something that feels completely normal, practical, and even responsible, may be quietly increasing the chemical stress inside your stomach without you realizing it. You cook dinner, you save the leftovers. The next day, you put them in the microwave, press a button, and within 2 minutes, your meal is ready again. It feels harmless. It feels convenient. It feels like something every careful adult should do, especially after 50. When wasting food seems unnecessary and preparing fresh meals every single day can feel exhausting. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Some foods do not return to their original state when they are reheated. They change. Their chemistry changes. Their fats oxidize. Their proteins break down further. Their natural nitrates can be converted into more reactive compounds. Bacteria that develop during storage may leave behind toxins that heat cannot destroy. And over time, repeated exposure to these compounds may place extra stress on the digestive system, especially the stomach lining. This does not mean that one reheated meal will give you cancer. That is not how cancer works. Cancer is not created by one plate of food, one mistake, or one bad habit. But cancer risk often grows from patterns that are repeated for years. Small exposures, chronic irritation, long-term inflammation, repeated chemical insults to the cells that line the digestive tract. And when we talk about stomach cancer, this matters deeply. Stomach cancer, also called gastric cancer, is one of the most serious cancers of the digestive system. It often develops silently. Many people do not notice the early signs because the symptoms can look like ordinary indigestion, acid reflux, bloating, loss of appetite, or mild stomach discomfort. A person may think, "It is just something I ate," when in reality the stomach lining may have been under stress for years. That is why prevention matters. Not fear, not panic. Prevention. I am Dr. Michael Carter, and today I want to walk you through 5 foods you should be extremely careful about reheating after the age of 50, especially if you are already dealing with digestive problems, chronic gastritis, acid reflux, stomach burning, bloating, or a family history of gastrointestinal cancer. The point of this video is not to make you afraid of your kitchen. The point is to help you understand what happens when certain foods are cooked, stored, and heated again. Because the second heating is not always harmless. Sometimes reheating does not simply warm the food. It pushes the food through another chemical reaction. And that is where the danger begins. Before I name the 5 foods, you need to understand one important principle. Food is chemistry. Every time you apply heat to food, chemical reactions happen. Proteins react with sugars. Fats react with oxygen. Natural plant compounds break down. Bacteria may multiply if the food cools too slowly or sits too long. And when food is reheated, many of these reactions do not restart from zero. They continue from where they stopped. That means the second heating can be more damaging than the first. During the first cooking, many foods still contain natural antioxidants, moisture, and protective compounds that help limit some of the damage caused by heat. But after cooking, cooling, storage, and reheating, those protective compounds may be reduced. At the same time, harmful compounds can become more concentrated. This is especially important for adults over 50 because the digestive system changes with age. Stomach acid may become less balanced. The stomach lining may become more sensitive. Healing may become slower. Chronic inflammation becomes more common. And if someone already has gastritis, Helicobacter pylori infection, frequent reflux, poor diet, smoking history, heavy alcohol use, or long-term use of certain medications, the stomach may already be vulnerable. Now add reheated foods that contain oxidized oils, processed meat preservatives, nitrite-forming vegetables, or heat-stable bacterial toxins, and you can begin to understand why this topic matters. Again, this is not about blaming one food. It is about patterns. A person who reheats processed meat every morning. A person who reheats fried food several times a week. A person who cooks a large pot of rice, leaves it out too long, and reheats it for days. A person who prepares spinach or leafy greens and warms them again the next day without understanding nitrate conversion. These habits may seem small, But the stomach experiences them repeatedly, and the stomach remembers what the mind forgets. Food number one is processed meat. This includes bacon, sausage, hot dogs, ham, deli meat, salami, pepperoni, cured meats, smoked meats, and many packaged breakfast meats. These foods are already a concern before reheating because they often contain preservatives such as nitrates and nitrites. These compounds help preserve color, flavor, and shelf life, but under certain conditions, especially heat, they can contribute to the formation of N-nitroso compounds, including nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are important because they have been studied for their potential role in cancer development, especially in the digestive tract. The stomach is particularly relevant because this is where food first sits, mixes with acid, and comes into direct contact with the stomach lining. When processed meat is heated once, especially at high temperatures, some of these reactions can already begin. But when you reheat processed meat, especially in a microwave, frying pan, air fryer, or oven at high heat, you are exposing that same food to another round of chemical stress. The fat in the meat oxidizes further. The proteins continue to break down. The preservatives and amines in the meat may interact under heat. And the result is a food that may contain more irritating compounds than it did the first time you ate it. This is why reheated bacon, reheated sausages, reheated hot dogs, and reheated deli meats are not ideal daily habits for someone over 50. Many people think the danger is only in eating processed meat itself. But reheating can make the situation worse because the food has already been cooked, cooled, stored, and chemically altered. Then heat is applied again. This is not the same as eating something freshly prepared once. And here is where people make the biggest mistake. They wake up in the morning, take leftover sausage or bacon from the refrigerator, put it in the microwave, and eat it quickly with bread, eggs, or coffee. It feels like a normal breakfast. But if that pattern repeats every day or several times a week for years, the stomach is repeatedly exposed to compounds that may irritate and stress the digestive lining. The safer approach is simple. Do not make reheated processed meat a routine. If you choose to eat processed meat, eat it occasionally, prepare it once, and avoid reheating it at high temperatures. Better yet, replace it more often with fresh protein options such as eggs, fish, chicken, beans, lentils, or minimally processed meats. And if you are over 50 and already struggle with burning in the stomach, reflux, bloating, or unexplained discomfort after eating, pay close attention to how your body responds after processed meats. Your stomach may be giving you warnings that you have been ignoring. Before I continue to the second food, I want you to do something important. If this information is already making you think about your own kitchen habits, subscribe to this channel now. Most people only think about their health after symptoms appear, but the smartest people protect their health before the warning signs begin. Subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who reheats leftovers every week without thinking twice. Because sometimes the most dangerous habits are not the dramatic ones. They are the quiet ones, the ones we repeat every morning, the ones sitting in the refrigerator right now. And the next food may surprise you even more, because most people consider it healthy. In fact, many people eat it specifically to protect their body, but when it is cooked, stored, and reheated the wrong way, it may become a very different kind of food inside your stomach. The second food you should be very careful about reheating after 50 is spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens. And this one surprises almost everyone, because when people think about foods that may harm the stomach, they usually think about fried food, processed meat, alcohol, or sugar. They do not think about spinach. They do not think about kale. They do not think about beet greens, Swiss chard, celery, or certain vegetable soups made with leafy greens. In fact, most people eat these foods because they believe they are doing something good for their body, and they are. Fresh spinach can be very healthy. Leafy greens contain vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, and natural plant compounds that support the body in many ways. They can be part of a healthy diet, especially for adults over 50 who want to protect their heart, digestion, weight, and long-term energy. But the problem is not fresh spinach. The problem begins when nitrate-rich vegetables are cooked, stored, and reheated. Here is what happens. Many leafy greens naturally contain nitrates. In fresh vegetables, nitrates are not automatically dangerous. In many situations, they may even support circulation and blood pressure. But when these vegetables are cooked and then left sitting for too long, bacteria and enzymes can begin converting some of those nitrates into nitrites. Nitrites are more reactive. And under certain conditions, especially in the presence of heat and the acidic environment of the stomach, nitrites can participate in reactions that form N-nitroso compounds, including nitrosamines. These are the compounds that concern researchers because some of them have been associated with cancer risk in the digestive system. Now think about what happens when someone cooks spinach at night, leaves the leftovers in a container, puts it in the refrigerator, and then reheats it the next day in the microwave. The food has already gone through cooking. It has gone through cooling. It has gone through storage. Some chemical changes may already have occurred. Then heat is applied again. That second heating is not just warming the spinach. It may push the nitrate to nitrite pathway further. This is especially important when leafy greens are stored improperly, left at room temperature too long, or reheated more than once. Food safety agencies warn that reheated rice is risky mainly because of storage, not reheating itself. And that same principle matters here too. What happens between cooking and reheating can be just as important as the reheating process itself. For the stomach, this matters because the stomach lining is the first major tissue exposed to these compounds after swallowing. If your stomach is already irritated by chronic gastritis, acid reflux, alcohol, smoking, poor diet, or Helicobacter pylori infection, adding repeated chemical stress from poorly handled reheated foods is not a small detail. It is another layer of pressure. Does this mean you should stop eating spinach? No. That would be the wrong lesson. The lesson is to handle it correctly. Cook leafy greens fresh when possible. Eat them soon after preparation. If you have leftovers, cool them quickly, store them properly, and avoid reheating them over and over again. If the greens have been sitting for too long, especially at room temperature, do not try to rescue them with heat. Heat does not erase every chemical change that has already happened. And if you want to use leftover cooked spinach the next day, one safer option is to eat it cold in a salad, mix it into a cold bowl, or prepare smaller portions, so you do not need to reheat it at all. This one habit alone can change how you prepare vegetables after 50, because the goal is not to fear healthy foods. The goal is to stop turning healthy foods into risky leftovers through poor storage and repeated heat. The third food is reheated fried food, especially food cooked in reused or overheated oil. This includes fried chicken, French fries, fried fish, fried snacks, onion rings, fried pastries, and any food that was cooked in oil and then reheated later. Most people already know fried food is not the healthiest choice, but they usually think the danger is only the calories, the weight gain, the cholesterol, or the salt. That is only part of the story. The deeper problem is what happens to oil when it is heated, cooled, stored inside the food, and then heated again. When cooking oils are exposed to high temperatures, especially oils rich in polyunsaturated fats such as soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and some vegetable oils, they begin to oxidize. This process can create aldehydes, oxidized fats, and other compounds that may irritate tissues and contribute to oxidative stress. If oil is reused, the problem becomes worse. Each heating cycle breaks the oil down further. The smoke point can drop. The oil becomes more unstable. More breakdown products can form. And when food cooked in that oil is reheated, especially in a microwave or air fryer at high heat, the surface can become overheated in some areas while remaining cold in others. That uneven heating matters. Some parts of the food can become scorched or overly dry. Other parts may simply become warm. This uneven heat can encourage additional formation of compounds associated with high-temperature cooking, including polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and other heat-related byproducts. The IARC has described how carcinogens such as heterocyclic aromatic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons can be produced when meat is cooked at high temperatures, especially with pan frying, grilling, or barbecuing. Now imagine this pattern repeated for years. Someone buys fried food, saves the leftovers, reheats them the next day, then sometimes reheats them again. Someone fries food at home in the same oil more than once because they do not want to waste it. Someone reheats fried snacks until they become crispy again, without realizing that crispiness is often a sign of more dehydration, more oxidation, and more heat damage. For the stomach, reheated fried food can be especially aggressive. It is heavy. It sits longer in digestion. It can worsen reflux. It can irritate gastritis. It can increase bloating and discomfort. And for people over 50, the stomach may not tolerate these repeated insults as easily as it did at 25 or 30. Again, one reheated fried meal is not the issue. The issue is the pattern, the weekly habit, the belief that because the food still looks normal, it is chemically the same. It is not. The safer approach is direct. Eat fried food fresh, occasionally, and do not make reheating fried foods part of your routine. Never reuse frying oil repeatedly. If you must reheat something that was cooked in oil, avoid scorching it. Use moderate, even heat rather than blasting it in the microwave or air fryer until the surface becomes hard and dry. But the best option after 50 is even simpler. Cook smaller portions. Do not create fried leftovers in the first place, because your stomach does not only respond to what you eat, it responds to what that food has become after heat, oxygen, storage, and time. The fourth food is rice, and rice is different from the others. With rice, the main danger is not that reheating itself magically creates cancer-causing compounds. The main danger is food poisoning risk from improper storage, especially involving a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This is why rice deserves a special warning. Many families cook rice in large batches. They leave it on the stove. They let it cool slowly. Sometimes it stays at room temperature for hours. Then it goes into the refrigerator. The next day, it is reheated. Sometimes it is reheated again. And because rice looks normal, smells normal, and tastes normal, people assume it is safe. But cooked rice can carry spores of Bacillus cereus that survive the cooking process. If rice is left at room temperature too long, those spores can multiply and produce toxins. The dangerous part is that some of these toxins can be heat resistant, meaning reheating may kill bacteria, but not necessarily remove the toxins already produced. Public food safety guidance warns that cooked rice should be cooled quickly, refrigerated, and eaten within about 24 hours. When reheated, it should be steaming hot throughout. This matters even more after 50. Food poisoning that a younger person might recover from quickly can be more serious in older adults, especially those with weaker immunity, chronic disease, or digestive problems. Vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, abdominal cramps, and intestinal inflammation can put real stress on the body. And while the direct connection between reheated rice and stomach cancer should not be exaggerated, repeated digestive inflammation is not something to ignore. Chronic irritation of the gastrointestinal tract is one of the biological environments that doctors take seriously because inflamed tissues are more vulnerable over time. So the message is not, rice causes stomach cancer. That would be irresponsible. The message is this: improperly stored and repeatedly reheated rice can expose your digestive system to bacterial toxins and inflammation, and after 50 you should not treat that as harmless. The safest rice rule is simple. After cooking, cool rice quickly. Do not leave it sitting out for hours. Refrigerate it within 1 hour if possible. Store it for no more than 1 day before reheating. Reheat it only once. Make sure it is steaming hot all the way through. And if it smells strange, feels slimy, has been sitting out overnight, or you cannot remember when it was cooked, throw it away. Do not gamble with your stomach over a bowl of leftovers. And before I reveal the fifth food, I want you to pause and think about your own kitchen. Which one of these habits do you do most often? Reheating sausage or bacon? Warming spinach or vegetable soup the next day? Reheating fried food until it becomes crispy again? Saving rice for several days because it still looks fine? Write it in the comments, because your answer may help someone else recognize a habit they have been ignoring for years. And if this video is helping you see food differently, subscribe now. This channel is not here to scare you. It is here to help you protect your health before symptoms force you to pay attention. Because after 50, prevention is not paranoia. Prevention is wisdom. And the fifth food may be the most common one of all, because it is sitting in almost every refrigerator almost every week. in almost every home. The fifth food you should be very careful about reheating after 50 is seafood, especially shrimp, fish, crab, shellfish, and seafood dishes that have already been cooked once. And this one matters because seafood is often seen as a healthy choice. People eat fish because they want omega-3s. They eat shrimp because it feels lighter than red meat. They eat seafood because doctors often recommend it as part of a heart-friendly diet. And yes, fresh seafood can absolutely be part of a healthy lifestyle, but cooked seafood is delicate. Once seafood has been cooked, cooled, stored, and reheated, it can change quickly. The proteins break down, the fats oxidize, the smell becomes stronger, the texture changes, and if it was not stored properly, bacteria can multiply faster than many people realize. This is especially important with fish and shellfish because they spoil more easily than many other foods. Even when seafood does not look spoiled, chemical and bacterial changes may already be happening. And when you reheat seafood, especially in the microwave, the heat is often uneven. One part becomes overheated and dry, while another part is only warm. That uneven heating can leave the food unsafe, irritating, and harder for the stomach to tolerate. For someone over 50, this matters even more. The stomach may already be dealing with lower tolerance, slower digestion, reflux, gastritis, medication use, or a more sensitive digestive lining. Reheated seafood can trigger nausea, bloating, burning, cramps, diarrhea, or a heavy feeling in the stomach. And when the digestive system is repeatedly irritated, week after week, year after year, that irritation becomes part of the bigger picture of long-term stomach health. Now, let me be very clear. Seafood itself is not the enemy. Fresh fish, prepared safely, can be excellent for the body. The problem is old seafood leftovers, reheated seafood, and seafood dishes that sit too long before being eaten again. Think about shrimp pasta from the night before, fish stew that sits in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days, fried fish reheated in the air fryer, crab or shellfish warmed again in the microwave. These meals may still look normal, but they are not the same food they were when they were first prepared. The safer rule is simple. Eat seafood fresh whenever possible. If you store it, refrigerate it quickly in a sealed container. Do not leave it sitting out on the counter. Do not keep it for several days. And if you reheat it, do it only once, gently, and make sure it is heated evenly. But if the smell is strong, sour, or different from when it was cooked, do not taste it to check. Throw it away. Your stomach is worth more than leftovers. Now let us bring everything together. Because I do not want you to leave this video afraid of food. I want you to leave with clarity. There are 5 foods that deserve extra caution when reheated after 50. The first is processed meat. Bacon, sausage, hot dogs, ham, deli meats, pepperoni, salami, and cured meats. These foods can contain nitrates, nitrites, preservatives, oxidized fats, and compounds that become more concerning when exposed to repeated heat. If you eat them occasionally. Prepare them once, and avoid reheating them at high temperatures. The second is spinach and nitrate-rich leafy greens. These foods can be healthy when fresh, but when cooked, stored, and reheated improperly, nitrates may be converted into more reactive compounds. Cook smaller portions, eat them fresh, and avoid reheating them repeatedly. The third is fried food and food cooked in reused oil. Fried chicken, fries, fried fish, pastries, and snacks may become more irritating when reheated because oils continue to oxidize and break down. The more heat cycles the oil and food go through, the more aggressive they may become for your stomach. The fourth is rice. The main danger is not that reheating rice directly causes cancer. The danger is improper storage. Cooked rice can allow bacteria like Bacillus cereus to produce toxins if left at room temperature too long. Reheating may not remove all of those toxins. Cool rice quickly, refrigerate it fast, eat it within about 1 day, and reheat it only once. The fifth is seafood. Fish, shrimp, crab, shellfish, and seafood dishes can spoil quickly after cooking. Reheating them unevenly can make them harder to digest and riskier for older adults, especially if they were stored too long. And there is one principle behind all 5 foods. The danger is not just the food. The danger is the cycle. Cook, cool, store, reheat, store again, reheat again. Every time food goes through that cycle, its chemistry changes, its safety changes, its effect on your stomach changes. And after 50, your body may not recover from those insults as easily as it once did. This is why prevention matters, not because you should live in fear, but because you should not ignore the quiet habits that shape your health over decades. Stomach cancer rarely appears overnight. It is often connected to long-term irritation, chronic inflammation, infection, smoking, alcohol, diet, genetics, and other factors that accumulate over time. Some of those factors are beyond your control, but some of them are sitting in your kitchen. And that should give you power, because you can change how you store food. You can change how often you reheat leftovers. You can cook smaller portions. You can throw away food that has been sitting too long. You can stop reheating the same rice for 3 days. You can stop microwaving processed meat every morning. You can stop saving fried food and pretending it is harmless because it still tastes good. You can protect your stomach before it starts sending you warning signs. Now I want you to ask yourself one honest question. Which of these 5 foods have you reheated the most in your life? Was it rice? Was it sausage? Was it fried chicken? Was it spinach? Was it fish or shrimp? Write your answer in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of conversation that can wake people up. Someone may read your comment and realize, I do that every week. And that one realization may change a habit they have repeated for years. And if this video helped you, do not keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a parent, a spouse, or anyone over 50 who reheats leftovers often. Not to scare them, but to protect them. Sometimes the most useful health advice is not complicated. Sometimes it is a simple kitchen habit that nobody ever explained clearly. Subscribe to this channel for more honest, science-based conversations about food, aging, digestion, and disease prevention. Like this video if it gave you something practical. And turn on notifications so you do not miss the next warning that may change how you eat every single week. And one final thing, this video is for educational purposes only. It is not personal medical advice. Cancer risk is complex. Stomach cancer can involve many factors, including Helicobacter pylori infection, family history, smoking, heavy alcohol use, chronic gastritis, diet, and other medical conditions. If you have persistent stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, vomiting, black stools, difficulty swallowing, loss of appetite, anemia, or symptoms that do not go away, do not try to solve it only with diet changes. Talk to a qualified healthcare professional. Get evaluated. Protect yourself early, because your stomach may stay quiet for a long time before it finally asks for help. I am Dr. Michael Carter. Take care of your kitchen, take care of your stomach, and protect your health with the information most people never receive until it is too late.